president, or is this something that naturally happens when the Clintons are in power or seeking power? Joining us now to talk about a piece he wrote, The Anti-Clinton Media, Here We Go Again. It appeared at The Hill, is Lanny Davis, our friend. He served as a special counsel to Bill Clinton and, of course, is the author of Crisis Tales, 5 Rules for Coping with Crisis in Business, Politics, and Life. Hello, Lanny.
Hello, Steve. How are you?
How are you, my friend?
Good.
All right, let's talk a little bit about this. Couple of things that seem to have perturbed you about the media. One is they both involved the New York Times. One is Maureen Dowd, and another one is the Times piece that focused on the Clinton Foundation.
Yeah, and it's hard in a headline to get the distinction and all that you want to. So I did make a distinction in the text of my piece about the New York Times article on the Clinton Foundation making at least 2 specific reports of fact that turn out not to be fact and were inaccurate. But in the case of Maureen Dowd, I do see an intentional bias. So in the one case, in Maureen Dowd's case, she writes opinion. Her opinions are very hostile, and subjectively, she has a right to her opinion, but I just have labeled it as consistently hostile and even venomous in the personal words that she uses. That's her right as an op-ed columnist. I don't have to agree with it. The other was supposed to be objective fact journalism, and I wrote that the Times got it wrong factually about accusing the Clinton Foundation of having deficits when that was a misleading and really inaccurate statement, and also seeing a conflict of interest in individuals setting up a company that encouraged their clients who were associated with the Clintons to give to the Clinton Foundation. I saw no conflict of interest in that. I saw only alignment of interest. So those were my 2 points, that the journalism was poor and I thought careless, but I didn't accuse the journalists of being biased. I just thought they were wrong.
All right, so without me going over piece by piece of the New York Times, and you will admit that there were some accuracies, certainly to go along with what you call the inaccuracies in the Times piece. And as you said, Maureen Dowd is entitled to her opinion. But to say that when it comes to the mainstream of media, that the Clintons get anything less than overwhelmingly favorable coverage, I mean, I don't get that at all.
Well, they get good coverage and they get bad coverage depending on the day and the issue. And when you're running for president, you tend to have people piling on you. When you're Secretary of State, you tend to have everybody loving you. So there's something in between that I think is probably the right balance. But in the case of Whitewater, how many years and $50+ million later, and thousands of column inches in the New York Times, the Washington Post about the quote wrongdoing in Whitewater, Ken Starr and his successor themselves found no wrongdoing about the Whitewater investment by either Clinton.
Well, but there were people that went to jail. Webb Hubbell went to.
Well, first of all, those tens of thousands of column inches were about Bill and Hillary Clinton, and I said about either Bill or Hillary Clinton. The 15 or 17 characters, who some of them were almost so incidental and nonsensical what they were accused of, I've heard those numbers, Steve, but I was very careful in what I just said. And then you said, but, as if
no, you're right. The Clintons, they never got anything on the Clintons. So under the law, just like
under
Trayvon
any
Martin.
law.
Yeah, under any law. I understand.
Under legal
right.
law.
But there was wrongdoing in that Whitewater whole affair, and it led to more wrongdoing. And eventually the president was found to have lied before a federal grand jury. He was disbarred and impeached and paid a fine. And if that investigation hadn't happened, we might not have found out about that.
You're a talk show host, but you're not entitled to make up facts. He never was found to have lied before a grand jury. Never.
Why was he disbarred?
He was disbarred because in a civil deposition, which is not a grand jury, he did not tell the truth about having sex.
He committed perjury.
First of all, nobody ever found him to have committed perjury. That's your opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. But going back to Kenneth Starr, not exactly pro-Clinton, found no wrongdoing. No legal wrongdoing, no perjury, nothing. Zero, nada, 50.
All right, let me ask you a question.
Stephen, that's a fact. You may not like
all right,
that.
Well, he lied on that deposition because he wound up. He did have an affair with Monica Lewinsky, and he said he didn't.
Now you've got your affairs mixed up. That was not about Monica Lewinsky.
No, it was about Paula Jones, who he wound up settling with.
You're getting all mixed up on.
No, I'm not getting all mixed up, Lanny. I know what happened. He was impeached. He was disbarred. He paid a fine, and he lied. And one of the articles of impeachment was perjury.
And not 51 senators out of 55 Republicans agreed with you.
We're not talking about senators. He was impeached. He was impeached.
Excuse me. He was impeached on a partisan vote.
Oh.
And in the U.S. Senate, now let's at least have you say this, 55 Republican senators, not a majority, agreed with what you just said.
He wasn't convicted in the Senate, but he was impeached.
Not a majority agreed with what you just said in the United States.
No, I
Senate
can't say that. I don't. According to their vote, they didn't. They may have agreed personally, so I don't know.
Right.
But their vote showed that they didn't. They didn't agree.
You're entitled to speculate, but you're not entitled to make.
All right. Well, let's
Going
not.
back to my statement about Whitewater, Bill and Hillary Clinton were not like
right.
Stars.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Any wrongdoing whatsoever.
Okay.
Revolving Whitewater.
Let me ask you a question. What would you think would have happened if a woman came forward and said 20 years ago George Bush raped me? You want to talk about media fairness and coverage? What would have happened? You think there would have been one?
There probably would have been a lot of people on the left who do what you do, which is to jump to a legal conclusion.
I didn't drink. No, I didn't drink. I'm asking if the media would have asked more than one question about it to the president. One question.
If you want to ask me a question and you want me to be on your program, in the past you've always allowed me to finish. You don't shout over and interrupt. That's what you're doing today. So you ask me a question. If George Bush were accused of rape, what would happen? I hope no one would jump to the conclusion that the accuser is correct without a verdict, without due process. Now, I do believe there are people on the left who would have done that to George Bush, and I would have disagreed with them.
Like NBC, CBS, ABC, and all those things. Would they have covered it? Would they have asked a question? Because they didn't for Bill Clinton. Only Sam Donaldson, he was the only reporter ever to ask a question. And one question only was ever asked of Bill Clinton. You think that would have been the case for Bush?
Well, you're asking me to speculate, and you just said things that are not true. That accusation was widely reported.
To the president. One question to the president.
That accusation, which I'm not even going to dignify because the person who made it never came forward, never testified.
Sure, she came forward. She was interviewed by Lisa Myers on NBC News.
Stephen, you're interrupting me. If you want to speak, I'll wait.
Well, we're actually out of time, Lanny, but I appreciate it. I'm just trying to. Well, I just found it unusual that you cry for the media coverage for the Clintons.
I don't appreciate when you interrupt.
All right. Well, we're out of time. We're out of time, Lanny. I'm sorry. We'll continue next time on the Steve Malzberg Show on News.